Hello, episode 3. So, how much would you pay for this? A classic 1979 three-door Range Rover sold recently through Silverstone auctions and carrying an estimate of £12,000 to £15,000 plus, of course, 12.5% commission plus the VAT on the commission. But what is it really worth? How much do you think it really sold for? Well, before you make your mind up, let me give you a bit of background information on this thing. This, as you'll agree, is not a common sight for sure. I mean, Range Rovers genuinely are very common today. I mean, you drive down any motorway in this country and you'll see 10 brand spanking new Range Rovers every 10 minutes. They are a mass-produced vehicle, an expensive one, but nevertheless, they're mass-produced. This thing wasn't. 1979 Range Rover made around 10,000 of these three-door Range Rovers. Bear in mind that the four-door wasn't introduced until 1981. This is 9 years into the production of the model, so Range Rover's introduced in 1970. And I've got to tell you, I have had experience with these cars. A three-door version, identical to that, same year. We had one in the family in the mid-1980s. We paid £3,000 for it as a used car. And I've got to tell you, right, this is truthful. I mean, I do like Range Rovers, more so now than I did in the 80s, because the one we had, and it wasn't unusual, drove like a monster. I mean, look at that gear lever. You had to lean across to change gear. It was awful, and the clutch was so heavy. Your left leg was on fire. It burned if you were going around country lanes having to change gear. And if unfortunately you were having to drive around country lanes in a car like that, then you'd be feeling sick because it wallowed and it tilted all over the place whilst drinking copious amounts of fuel. So in their day, they were not the most rated vehicle. They rusted very badly, they weren't particularly reliable, and especially with the three-door come the mid-80s, they were really old-fashioned. So the vast majority of cars of this age, by the time they were 10 years old, they would have been scrapped. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, not only did your left leg ache for days after driving this thing, your arms felt like they were going to drop off because, of course, no powered steering. Fast forward 42 years and you see the big brand new Range Rovers at 80 grand and 100 grand, and they're making, I don't know, 100,000 of those things a year. And for me personally, they turn me cold. But when I see this classic three-door, I start to look at this car with rose-tinted glasses, and I go back to the mid-80s when I experienced one of these things, and yes, I long to lean over and move that gear stick. I long for my left leg to burn with pain when changing gear, and the lovely big soft bouncing wallowing seats. It's harking back to some sort of golden era. So I really do get the appeal. But back to this particular car. This is a very interesting vehicle. The color is great. I love that classic blue. It's called Tuscan blue. It's flat, non-metallic, and just very appealing. It's had a full body restoration recently. Now, you know these things rusted badly, so that's a very good thing. The engine has been rebuilt. The downside is the interior. Take a look at this. I mean, seriously, that is a ropey interior. So the restoration has not yet been finished. The major work has been done, but you as a buyer at 12 to 15,000 need to factor in the fact that it needs a lot of work spent on the interior. So a complete retrim, the door cards, the roof lining, the whole shebang needs doing. That's going to cost some money, so factor it in. But I really do get with this thing. You can see why they are now so devastatingly appealing, because they are so devastatingly sophisticated looking now. You pitch up at the school gates to pick up little Johnny in this, and you're going to look much more refined driving this 42-year-old Range Rover than a brand spanking new one. It just screams old, refined money, and the market has gone bonkers for these things, and you know, rightly so. They are practical, usable, classic cars, and factor in the fact that the vast majority of these things were scrapped, so there's not that many left. Also, the fact that the interior needs trimming actually to a lot of buyers is very appealing. Imagine you can choose your own colour, fabric, design. You can really personalize it if you want. So it's quite an exciting prospect, especially when you can see all that lovely blue paint. Just take a look, not a speck of rust, because it's all been restored. All you've got to do is choose the colour of carpet, have it fitted, and there is nothing to worry about. So over to you, 12 to 15,000 pounds estimate needing to be finished. How much do you think it really made? Well, here's 15 seconds thinking time for you, and then I'll come back and reveal the final price. Good luck.
My existence, and nothing you could give us could put it out. And I lost those old sad cemented boots.
And I'm back. Well, 12 to 15,000 pounds estimate. If you said this Range Rover sold through Silverstone at anywhere near 22,000 pounds, bang on and give yourself a point. So why did it do so well? Well, again, the restoration. A lot of money has been pumped into this thing, so that's a big job done. The fact that the interior needs doing, as I mentioned, I think that's a positive for some people. You can really design this car to suit your own needs and personality. And get this, finally, get it done, get it on the road and drive down the motorway anywhere in Britain, and mark my words, you'll see 100 brand new Range Rovers, but you won't see one of those. It's just got the rarity appeal, and come on, it is uber cool. So how did you do? Where were you on the valuation of this 79 Range Rover? Leave some comments, let me know, make some suggestions, and come back here, YouTube, every Thursday night, UK time 6:30. I'll upload something classic car related. Every Sunday night is my antiques quiz, and then a few in between too. So do like, comment, and don't forget, subscribe. Until next time, I'm David Harper. Cheerio.